Hello, my name is Scott Hannon. This is my personal curriculum statement. The reason why it's so delayed is because my dad had some emergencies associated with his Alzheimer's in the last month. I felt defeated when it came to this course, and then a week ago I saw the unexpected bridge between this course and my dad's affliction with Alzheimer's. Using my own walk alongside my dad and through the place of Alzheimer's and the literal place of his retirement community, while expanding my noticings through activation of more senses to reframe, rethink, and redesign a curriculum and pedagogy to better teach understanding and open up emotional awareness for those millions of family members of Alzheimer's victims, so as to empower and support them to be better, more conscious caretakers and manifestors of dignity for the dying. In this sense, I experienced something similar to what Professor Simmons described in the week one video of experiencing what seemed to be an irreconcilable tension, and after 3 weeks of viewing it as a problem, I opened up into a previously unseen opportunity to elicit the unexpected hidden lesson in this very challenging past 3 or 4 weeks of mine. I was raised by a single mother in a semi-commune where she created her own Waldorf-inspired school, a philosophy perhaps similar to the essence of this course. I studied social studies, got a credential, 2 different masters in education and psychology, and taught social science courses in high school and colleges. Being a school counselor got me involved in social emotional learning issues on high levels, eventually consulting with and coaching school leaders and even directors and superintendents. But it took my dad getting Alzheimer's, and particularly this last month, to open me up to some of the ways of approaching curriculum explored in this particular curriculum course. I chuckled ironically to myself when I noticed the linguistic connection between the curriculum of backwards design and the unique way in which my dad's Alzheimer's is having his own memory move backwards, in a sense, in that the more recent memories disappear and he only remembers the years of the 50s and 60s, and how he now perceives and senses things kind of backwards, or at least from a different angle, and how this has forced me to plan what I will call my Alzheimer's curriculum from a backwards stance. In the sense of looking at place, well, my curriculum is closer to SEL, social and emotional learning, than it is to traditional academic. While there is a scientific factor to Alzheimer's, like with the brain, etc., my focus is on family and community learning about how to relate to Alzheimer's victims. My dad's identity as a middle-class Irish and Jewish man living in Phoenix intersects with the identities of his Native American wife living with him in a Native American-owned trailer park, which intersects with other nearby middle-class victims of Alzheimer's in their community. I've been walking Dad around his park, dialoguing with people, and attempting to engage in the Wonder Salon structure, which I'll explain later, with a fascinating array of results. Some were open about their journeys to the point that I was astounded and astonished and in tears. Others kind of clammed up in a kind of protectiveness of their painful processes through their own challenges with their families. Wandering fluidly from place to place certainly did expand my pedagogy hinge and added to my understanding of the relevant Alzheimer's community and curriculum. In this sense, what was not discussed or resisted in speaking sometimes helped elucidate that it is often that which is excluded I want to say something about the week 3 notion of the senses, how the body is activated through taste, smell, and touch, and how we do have a bias towards the visual. As my dad and I walked through his community, and I attempted to have discussions and salons with various members, while we had interaction with various humans, we did in fact have interactions with non-human, non-alive forms. Dad collected rocks all his life, and so being in his rock garden is a place of contemplation for him and elicits certain kinds of sharing about how he makes meaning. Due to his limited capacity in conversation, he also tends to put his attention on the sound and feel of the swaying palm trees and the smell in the air as we pass by community members in this retirement community having dinner, and getting a sense for the touch of a wandering pet or of a fluffy bush in that community. As such, I notice those non-human objects much more frequently and engage with them alongside my dad. It's an interesting thing to consider that my dad's Alzheimer's has, at times, the effect of, in a sense, de-westernizing him and others around him due to the de-emphasis of the visual and text and the other signs of a text-based, alphabet-based capitalist system, with greater emphasis on the other senses. We visited the Salvation Army Center for Alzheimer's in downtown Phoenix, and we perceived a wide variety of senses on our walks to continue to broaden and deepen the curriculum that I began to develop and am developing in facilitating these family and group wonderings about how to best relate to Alzheimer's victims. If I were to underscore the main insights that get unconcealed by allowing the other senses to emerge during the walks with Dad, and thus the greatest teaching I have to offer in my curriculum for families of victims, it is that they too can open to the wider array of senses in being with their Alzheimer's family members. Indeed, the worst thing they could do is to project their own panicked fear associated with loss of memory. If they allow them to be where they're at, engaging with them in each and every moment, they might just have the honor and privilege to enter into the world of meaning-making of the person with Alzheimer's, which has wonder-filled and wonderful delights of its own, at times having the experience of what a moment-based, or dare I say, enlightened consciousness might just be like. It is my hope that this curriculum will offer adjacent possibilities to the cultural, ethnic, non-Western populations outside of the usual frame of reference, and provide something for all families depending on their unique situations, and perhaps to find something universal about how to address Alzheimer's from a number of different standpoints and different realities and meaning-making systems. In other words, to explore what does it mean to even misremember or to remember in the first place. This links right into the week 4 notion of where does knowledge come from, where does our knowledge of the mind and of what Alzheimer's is come from, and what are the big ideas here to explore about memory, about identity, about the notion of people that are family members that are suffering, and how we even conceive of what memory is for ourselves, much less for them. What are the bigger conceptions? What is misremembered, not only in Alzheimer's patients, but misremembered in our culture and in our own history? And it will be my attempt to start with the conceptual anchor of memory and Alzheimer's, and to think about what my role as facilitator of these classes, of these salons would be, and how my sense of place may reframe my identity, and to invite others to be part of this conversation. literally to lead salon conversations that allow people to step in and to really learn about their own learning, their own conception of this topic, and to allow for the full complexity to play itself out in their experiences. I now will share with you some videos I've made going more deep about Alzheimer's, about my father.
Alzheimer's disease is the 6th leading cause of death in the United States. More than 5 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's. 1 in 3 seniors dies with Alzheimer's or another dementia. Family caregivers spend more than $5,000 a year caring for someone with Alzheimer's. For some families, this means missing a vacation, but for others, it may mean going hungry. Every 66 seconds, someone in the United States develops the disease. One of them is my father.
Since this course is about place, noticing, and being in wonder, I decided to wander through the nostalgic lands of my dad's past with him, looking at photos, seeing sidewalk engravings, sitting in the park near his house to watch sunsets, even walking through, so to speak, his old drawings and guitar chords, with the hope of piecing together a curriculum for other families in their walk through the place of Alzheimer's caretaking. I love spending one-on-one time with my dad, and I'm fortunate to have studied and taught both history and psychology, almost completing a doctorate degree in training other teachers to do the same. I've even created curriculum and produced videos about memory. So what picture is that one right there? Is that...
That's Scott.
That is Scott. And where is Scott?
Oh, you're here.
Yeah, that's right. I'm right here.
Used to be so little.
I was so little. I know. Look at that.
Where'd this book come from?
Yeah, this is your high school yearbook from 1958-59.
I remember all these kids. There's Buster Lee.
Buster Lee? Oh, tell me about Buster Lee.
He was a friend of ours.
Yeah.
He worked the spinning wheel with me.
The spinning wheel?
Yeah.
What was a spinning wheel?
It was a restaurant. Oh, these are great photos. You can always think back.
Yeah.
There's Terry.
There's Terry.
You can always think back to those days.
It's fun to think back, isn't it? It's nice to... Hello, darkness, my old friend.
I wrote that?
Well, it's from Simon and Garfunkel. And you copied it from them on this piece of paper, but you used to sing it with your guitar.
Oh.
I've come to talk to you again because a vision softly creeping. Sound familiar? Mm-hmm. Left its seeds while I was sleeping.
So when we look at a star, we're not looking at it today?
We're looking at the light that just arrived here 4, 5, 6 years later.
What took it so long? Light's supposed to travel fast. 670,000 miles an hour?
186,000 miles a second. So that's a good question. What took it so long?
Yeah. I wonder if there are other Earths that are inhabited.
Well, what do you think?
Well, it must be, because there's so many stars. There must be more worlds.
There must be more worlds, more planets.
Yeah. This can't be the only one.
Well, most of the scientists agree that there are planets, other planets in the universe that have life. In fact, there are probably even many, many, many of them.
Interesting to find one. Huh?
Yeah. And as I look at the sunset, I sometimes think, what is the meaning or purpose of this life? Any ideas?
Make up your own.
Make it.
My purpose was to have a couple of children. You're one of them.
Is that right? Thank you, Dad. I appreciate that purpose. That one, what do you think?
I think those are my babies.
Oh, thank you, Dad.
You look so happy.
Robin.
Siobhan.
Siobhan. Well, I'm here with my dad, Dennis,
And we've done place-based walks now through photographs, through the music of Simon and Garfunkel he used to sing, through walking through his old neighborhood of Moreland, and also through the world of sunsets. And now we're in our fifth place-based walk in the Phoenix Zoo. And my dad used to take me to the zoo years ago in Orange County, way back in the 70s. He's always loved the Nature Channel and nature documentaries. And so we are now in the zoo, and we can see that it's a great place to walk through in Papago Park. There's some birds up there. There's a yak, a huge ox, and there are actually giraffes that are way off in the distance there. And so this is our final kind of walk, and this one is something that very much has us connect with a sense of the smell of the animals and the feel and the sounds. There's a visual element, but it's also other senses as well. And it also affords us a chance to let you, Dad, sort of connect with the way you like to observe these animals and things you notice.
And his food goes all the way down his neck.
What's that?
His food goes all the way down his neck.
Yeah, his food goes all the way down that neck and goes into his or her body, right?
Yes.
And not only that, Dad, but
A long neck.
it's a long neck. When the heart beats, right, it needs to rush up his neck or her neck all the way up to the brain, right? Doesn't the blood need to go to the brain?
Yes.
So that neck has blood coming up and down, and it has food coming up and coming down from the mouth.
Yeah. He eats the grass.
Yeah, he does eat the grass, yeah. What an amazing creature.
And the food goes all the way down to his tummy.
The food goes all the way down his neck to his tummy? Whoa! That's amazing. Wow. Dad, pretty extraordinary animal, huh? Well, Rachel, professor at ASU, how do you think that the zoo can be a place for learning educational experiences?
Well, first of all, it's immersive. So you walk into an environment
Yeah,
that it's artificial, yet it's made to feel organic.
yeah,
And it forces you to slow down
yeah,
and to see and to breathe with the animals, to sort of be with them.
yes,
And it's sort of a time out of time. It's a place outside of time, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
where animals have been brought from around the world into one location and are put together into an environment.
yes, yes,
So
yeah,
I think the way to really experience the zoo is kind of like what we're doing, where we're sitting for like half an hour with one group of animals.
yeah,
I think the tendency when you go through a zoo is to sort of see it like a tourist, like
Yeah.
boom, 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 and actually in doing so, you're not really seeing and being with the animals
yeah,
in a way that is in the moment with them.
yeah,
Because once you stop, you start to notice all of their behaviors and quirks and
yeah,
start to see them in their environment.
yeah, 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 absolutely.
And I'll just add to that there's something also about walking through a place of a zoo where, you know, there's a reason why kids and some of the elderly are so engaged, because they can have their own interpretation or experience, whether it's smell or taste or the senses other than like a museum. You know, they can enter into it in their own way, and have their experience kind of in a more pure way, so that we can actually see a window into the mind of a young person or an older person that we may be blocked from ourselves.
And the zoo, the architecture of the zoo forces you or allows you to walk through it.
Yeah.
It's a walking experience.
Yeah, very much so. Thank you very much, and thank you, Dad. And look at this gorgeous zoo. Look at the birds.
Oh my goodness.
Right at the top of the tree. And since I have a group counseling background, I decided to use a group process I've called the Art of Group Communication Salon as a model for families to dialogue about their next steps in their caretaking. Since this course is about wonder, I decided to use the versatile word of wonder for the group as we wonder about Alzheimer's care. Welcome to the Art of Group Communication Salon, an exploration into the phenomenon of wonder, which fosters social and emotional intelligence, transformation, connection, love, and purpose. Facilitated by me, Scott Hannon. Group Communication Salon is like a dinner party that explores the phenomenon of wonder in 4 different group contexts. In a classroom setting, the mental process of wondering is fundamental to learning ideas and concepts. In a group counseling setting, we often wonder about our own and others' feelings and emotions. In the art of improvisation and storytelling, we wonder, how will things turn out in the end? And in groups with spirituality as a focus, we often find ourselves present to awe and wonder. In short, the Art of Group Communication Salon is a wonderful experience.